So foremost is it's a measured resection technique, which means you have to measure everything you do, record it, ask your assistant outside the table to write it on a piece of paper, go back and see if you are accurate. You have to be accurate. Use manual instrumentation. Only extra instrument needed is a caliper, which we gave it to you as a gift in your delegate bag. Aim is to set the femur and the tibia parallel with the patient's pre-arthritic joint line, and we'll see how we set this thing up. KA performed with manual instrumentation is highly reproducible. It is reproducible 95% or more times, so it's very easy to do. You only need a total of 10 measurements. 4 on the femur, medial, lateral, distal, posterior, medial and lateral, 2 on the tibia, medial and lateral, 2 on the patella if you're doing a patella, and 2 for the femoral offset if you want to balance it in flexion. Now we're looking at how we do it. The thickness of the implant you need to do. So you may be doing different companies, but you need to define what is the thickness of the distal and the posterior part of this implant. For example, in this particular case, it's 9 millimeter. So you have to measure and reproduce and fill it with 9 millimeter. Cuts once made, you have to compensate if the cartilage or bone is missing. So by convention, we think cartilage is 2 millimeter. So if you are missing cartilage, it's not 9 millimeter anymore, it becomes 7 millimeter because 2 millimeter is already lost. Tibia resection is done to restore the sagittal and the coronal slope of the patient, which is native to that. And this will eliminate the need for any soft tissue releases. So this is how you do it. You cut, you measure. You cut, you measure. You cut, you measure. Again and again, again and again. You do it for a few cases, it becomes second hand. So we'll start the surgery. Regular varus knee. You can do any approach. A muscle sparing approach is much better, but here we are doing it middle parapatellar just for the sake of recording and exposure. At the start of surgery, you only expose the small anteromedial aspect of the tibia, and that's it, nothing more. You don't release any more soft tissue. Patella is handled as per your choice, whether you want to replace it or not. Once you've exposed it, you will remove the menisci and will start to look at your femur. Most femur will be missing cartilage on the medial side, and there will be some cartilage present on the lateral side. In this particular case, I have used a saw to remove it. And then I have marked my entry point into the femoral canal. You don't have to go all the way inside. Just 10 centimeter of the rod is enough. Once you go in, you will introduce the distal cutting block on that set. But once you introduce it, you are not fixated on the varus valgus angle on the block. In this particular case, it's 0 degree of varus, unlike 5 degree that you used to be. The idea is that the paddle needs to sit equally on the two condyles. And then you'll fix the distal cutting block. Distal cutting block is now designed to take out 9 millimeter of bone equally from the medial and lateral aspects. But now, since the patient is missing cartilage, and on one side you've already removed it with saw, you will shift this block to a -1 position. So that after cutting, it's a 7 millimeter. So from 0, I have shifted into a minus position. And then you'll go ahead and take your cut and immediately measure it. These cuts should be 9, -2, which is cartilage thickness, and on measurement should be 6 because the thickness of the saw blade is 1 millimeter, 1.19, 1.27 depending upon. So it has to be 6 millimeter that you measure and record. On the next step, you use a posterior referencing zig and you set it at 0 degree because you want your implant to be parallel to the posterior condylar axis. Posterior referencing zig set as 0 degree. Once you do it, you will mark the position for your 4-in-1 cutting block and then size your implant. Once you put in 4-in-1 cutting block, the first step is to take the posterior condylar cuts because you want to cut and you want to measure the thickness of that. And it has to be equal. If there is no cartilage wear, it has to be equal. It has to be 9 millimeter -1 because that's the thickness of the saw blade. So it has to be on measurement, has to be 8 for that particular implant. So you cut it and you immediately measure it. So it's 8. It's 8. Now the rest of the step is just completing the rest of the 4-in-1 cutting blocks, which is pretty standard. We know how to do it. Once you've done that, you will remove all the osteophytes that surround the femur, because those are the osteophytes that are tenting the collateral ligaments and changing the balance of that knee. That's how arthritis work. So you remove all the osteophytes, especially the one tenting the medial collateral ligament. Once you've done that, you can do a trialing on the femur, because now you have resurfaced the femur, and then you can do a trialing and get a feel how the joint looks. In the next step, it comes to doing the tibia cut. So you'll set up your extramedullary zig like you would have done for a mechanical case, starting point being a perpendicular straight rod. But before that, you will mark 2 points equally distant from the tibial spine on the medial and lateral side. On the lateral side, this patient has cartilage. On the medial side, no cartilage and no bone. Maybe he lost bone also. So you'll set up your tibia zig in perpendicular position. The first step you do is you match the slope of that patient. Use an angel wing to match the slope. It is not 2 finger breadths. It's not 1 finger breadths. It is what the slope of that patient is. So sometimes it can be 3, sometimes it can be 1 finger breadths. Once you are okay with the slope, you will measure from the intact side. For this particular implant, the smallest poly is 10. So you go on the lateral side and you put your stylus at 10. Then you'll stiff your stylus on the medial side and see where you land up. In this case, it is right in the air. It is not touching anything, which means this tibia is in varus, it is missing cartilage, and it's missing bone also. So to achieve the native coronal slope, we would end up shifting the ankle block into a varus position. In the picture you can see I have shifted this block into a varus position. You do and cross check this step twice before you fix. Now it is the patient's own slope and it is in varus, because that's how the slope of that particular patient is. Once you have confirmed that, the cut is pretty straightforward, but once you cut it, there is an immediate verification of your cut. On the lateral side, we target it at 10, should measure at 9. On the medial side, we target it not 8 because it's missing cartilage and missing some bones, so somewhere around 5 or 6. So you have to be very careful what kind of case you are getting. So you measure it at, yeah, it's 9. On the medial side, it is about 6. So you're pretty close. That's there to it to do a kinematic aligned caliper verified TKR. You will, for completion, remove all menisci and all osteophytes that are now tenting even the posterior capsule, which is critical, because otherwise you will not end up achieving the pre-arthritic alignment for that patient. Now I will stop this video here because rest is cementing and blah blah. But what if you are under resecting? So on the left side, you under resected. It is 5 millimeter. You wanted to do 6. So you'll go back and just press your saw blade to remove an extra 0.5 millimeter of bone, because then you have to be accurate within 0.5 millimeter. What if you overcut and you have changed the joint line by 1 millimeter? So you put this washer that I designed, or from a regular trauma set you have those washers, and you will put it against the femur so that your joint line is back to where it should be. You never accept a change in the joint line or an over resection. Similarly, for the posterior part of the condyle, let's say you under resected. So you use a shifting block like this. It allows you to shift 1 millimeter up and down or shift differentially. In this patient on the posterior middle side, we undercut by 1 millimeter. So you just move that block by 1 millimeter on the middle side so as to take that 1 millimeter extra bone from the posterior middle side, and you're done. So there's an algorithm to balance. You stay constant on your femur, you do not change your femur, you arrange your tibia zig, but you tend to be a little conservative, then you put your trial and then you see how you land up. Anything you need to change is on the tibia. If you are tight all around, you take an extra millimeter of tibia bone in the same plane, should work. If you are tight in flexion, but it's okay in extension, you increase the slope on the tibia. So the algorithm is pretty easy to understand. So this particular case, tight in medial side, just so slight tight. So you go back, same zig, just press your saw blade, remove about half a millimeter of extra bone, and you're done. Some sets have a varus recutting guide, which will take about 2 millimeter extra bone on the medial side. Rarely have to use it, but it is there in most sets, you just have to look for it. So case 1, bad arthritis, we see them every day, kinematic alignment. The right one got a rod, so you see it's tilted, but it is native to that particular patient, so works, and works so easily because in the entire surgery, we didn't touch the soft tissue envelope. So kinematic alignment preserves the patient native joint line, soft tissue envelope, and natural kinematics. Caliper measured unrestricted kinematic alignment has shown better patient-related outcomes without an increase in implant failure rates. Bone cuts with conventional instrumentation are 95% accurate. Thank you.